Can you introduce yourself? Maybe we start here with Jochen.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Jochen from FlixBus. And I said this last year when I was here, I always feel very much at home because green is our color. So we're the guys with the green buses on the street across Europe. We've been doing this for quite some time already. Meanwhile, I'm present in 22 countries and are basically the market-leading platform in our business across Europe.
Hi, I'm Nico. I'm the CEO of DriveNow. We are Europe's leading free-floating car-sharing company with a presence in 12 cities in 9 countries, and very happy to be here today.
Hi, I'm Olivier from car2go. We are worldwide leader in free-floating car sharing. We have 14,000 cars, 26 cities in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Chantal Ambord. I'm running business development at BlaBlaCar. We are the world's largest long-distance carpooling service with over 45 million members spread across 22 countries.
Hi, I'm Nils, country manager Germany and Austria for Drivy. We're Europe's largest P2P car-sharing platform, stepping in for Paulin, our CEO, who unfortunately couldn't be here today.
So let's rank our different candidates here in the panel. In the preparation of the panel, we've kind of discovered there are like 3 factors which are important when you want to get from A to B. One is price. What do you pay to get from A to B, of course. Maybe we start with that and then we go to the other 2. How expensive is it with your different services to get from A to B in terms of broken down in a mile? Jochen, like typical Hamburg, Berlin, what is the price?
You can travel with us as cheap as 3 cents per kilometer.
3 cents per kilometer.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So you can get a ticket from Hamburg to Berlin for somewhere around 8-9 euros.
8-9 euros. And car2go and DriveNow, you have a subscription, right?
We have the choice. With the Smart, you pay 24 cents per minute, or you can use the Mercedes cars.
So if you drive fast, you save some money. But then you have to deduct the speeding ticket, sadly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So with DriveNow, we arrange between public transport and taxi, and if you're looking compared to taxi, we are about 20 to 50% off.
How much?
20 to 50% off taxi for the trips.
Okay, and as we know from a previous presenter from yesterday, 98% of the time our cars are unused. So to save the planet, it's probably a better way. BlaBlaCar, I mean, you guys have come to us since the very early days, I think even before Index invested, or just at the time.
Yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 years. It's one of these companies who made it very, very big. You are a unicorn. There's... Sorry. You want to sit here?
Right.
You know, I don't sit at all. So how much is it with you, Chantal, if you want to travel from Berlin to Hamburg with your service?
What's from Ambord to Frankfurt is going to be probably about 15, 20 euros.
How much is it from?
Probably around 15 euros.
Okay, and you already have autonomous driving, I heard, right?
We have autonomous driving.
Yeah, there's somebody else driving, right?
Exactly. I think that the model is already built for that.
Fantastic. Drivy, how much is it roughly?
It's hard to say. We're low cost by design, but you can get a car starting at 20 euros per day, including 100 kilometers. So we're more based on a daily or half-day rate, depending on how long or how far you want to go with the car.
Right. And that's kind of the luxury version when you have...
It depends. Some markets are about 10 cents a kilometer. But some months...
But you're scoring the highest on accessibility. Because let's take a country in Israel. When we met, I think 6-7 years ago, you were already very big in Israel. But today, how many taxis you have in Israel?
In total, we have 150,000 cars. But in Israel, in most markets, we have availability of 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yeah.
Jochen, how many times you drive between Berlin and Hamburg?
Hamburg, Berlin. That's interesting. I mean, we're coming from a regulated market, and once it was deregulated, we actually basically tripled the offer that was there before the deregulation, Hamburg, Berlin. So we now do it in what we call the S-Bahn frequency. So we do it pretty much every 20 minutes.
And your service, I know a lot of my friends are using in Berlin because they say it's actually around every corner I find a car. Now, when we started preparing for the session, you guys were not officially announced to merge. Now you are. So now you probably almost doubled your pool of cars. So how is availability, accessibility with you? How many cars you had? 40,000, you said? Is it the combined or for one?
Within the home area, the accessibility is very, very high. And because we have more than 1,000 cars here in Berlin, for example, means when you open the application, around you, maximum 300 meters, you have a car.
And then how many cities are you available today?
26 for car2go worldwide.
DriveNow. And we run a test, and we had an average 2 cars every 300 meters and an average 4 cars every 500 meters. And the ATA to compare it is about 7 minutes, which is, in Germany at least, between taxi and Uber in some ways.
It's super helpful to differentiate with these different factors. And there's something fascinating BlaBlaCar has done recently about accessibility. Because when we met in Paris a while ago, you told me, yeah, you know, the one challenge we have is the drivers, to get like lots of supply, and then they turn around and, well, say for yourself what you offered for the car buying initiative.
Yeah, so we actually launched a couple of months ago a new initiative, a partnership with ALD, which is one of the largest leasing provider, and with Opel, to offer packages of car as a service, which are all inclusive, including maintenance, insurance, and everything that is needed in order to run the vehicle. And on top of that, on top of having like great deals for our members, we also decrease the cost of ownership of a vehicle by allowing people that do carpooling to have a reduction on their monthly fee. So for everyone which is doing carpooling on BlaBlaCar, every month you will have like a 20 euros discount on their leasing.
And with Drivy, how's the availability there?
Pretty good. We have roughly over 45,000 cars in Europe active on the platform, and thousands of cars equipped with our technology, so you can find a car in walking distance in a couple of cities across Europe, especially Paris, where you can open the app, and around the next corner is a Drivy car where you can book instantly and just drive away.
And like BlaBlaCar, you don't own the cars.
We don't own the fleets,
we don't
own the cars. Yeah, it's privately owned cars.
Now, looking at this sector, Sharat, when you started with your taxi app in Israel and in Russia then, it was a very different business. Today, I mean, how much money did you raise so far?
Yeah, we raised about 600 million, yeah.
600 million. Yeah. And obviously with 600 million, you do more than a kind of taxi app. And your vision is very much to be like a lead gen for automotive. Now, when you think about what the car manufacturers are doing, they also want to go in the space. Do you believe that your competitive universe, which is mainly probably concentrated here on stage, and we missed like 1 or 2, but do you believe that continuously you're going to compete with the car manufacturers, with more traditional players?
It's actually the opposite. As we say, the transportation moving from car ownership to transportation as a service. And when you go per mile basis, you actually need the entire ecosystem that should be from OEM to TNC like us, and then fleet manager, and then insurance company, and so on. And effectively, all of them will work on a model per kilometer per mile. So in this regard, we're obviously well positioned to provide this exactly TNC. Should it be OEM? In our case, it's VW joined the platform, but it could be any other. It's really the whole world is moving into this, and insurance will move to the per mile model, and the fleet management. All of the ecosystem is changing, and it's changing in the coming 5 years. The example I brought is that we are just 5% as a transportation on demand, but it's growing threefold year on year. So in 2025, you expect to see 25 up to 50% of the all miles driven to be driven on demand, and then change completely the whole ecosystem. And I believe, to your question, that both OEMs, insurance, fleet managers, everyone is moving into having piece of this, because otherwise you're out of business.
When you two merged, was it pushed by your shareholders or was it pushed by yourselves? Did you say, you know, it makes so much sense for us to look together? Or
we did not merge.
Yeah, you like to talk about rumors, yeah?
No rumors?
There's only rumors.
The whole conference is about rumors. What are you talking about? No, but obviously your shareholders are looking into the bigger themes of the sector. And Porsche, Daimler, they're all thinking of maybe becoming a service company. You are already, I guess, their first attempts to venture in. How much faster your shareholder are picking up the phone today versus 3 to 5 years ago? Meaning, how much more important you think the topic of mobility services has become for BMW and Daimler and Sixt?
In our case, it has become better because since we became profitable, we had, let's say, a bit of a longer leash to work with, and the trust is there. So I think, on the other hand, mobility is more than what we're doing. So our parent companies, and I think it's for both, are investing in a number of fields when it comes to mobility. And I think that's necessary for them because there are different studies out. Car ownership will definitely decrease. If you're looking at the latest Roland Berger study, they say that by 2025, ownership will decrease by 20%, and then another one 2030 when robot taxis come in. It's another step of around 50%. So, looking at this, obviously you need to adapt. And it's true, we were one of the first ventures which was more or less sourced out of the companies to show that it's possible, and we showed it. And since then, the phone doesn't ring so often.
So what's BlaBlaCar's most important corporate partner? I mean, Zohar is working with Volkswagen, FlixBus has the private equity companies, the smartest of the world. Obviously, DriveNow and car2go has German manufacturers and the car rental business. Drivy and BlaBlaCar, you two are French originated and you seem to be independently spirited. Is that right?
Well, I would say so. It's a C2C marketplace, so I think that there is a different type of need in terms of corporate partnership. However, we have a strong partnership with AXA, which allows our users to have a certain level of insurance on all their trips. We also did most recently a partnership with ALD and Opel, so that's another corporate partnership which is quite relevant and actually working out quite well. So I guess that as the community expands and the business expands, and also our aim is really now to cover new business and product lines, we may see new corporate partnership coming up.
Thank you. And Drivy, you have...
Yeah, same with us. We're French, so we believe in independency. We still are today, but we also think car manufacturers have to rethink and reshape their strategic positions. So alliances between car manufacturers, big tech companies, leasing partners will become more and more common. There's a couple of examples that we already see. Daimler's investing in Uber with the autonomous cars. GM is launching their own platform and is investing in other companies like Lyft. So there's a lot going on, and there's lots of dynamic, and we think the industry won't be the same that it is today in next 10, 20, 30 years from now.
So we have the Deutsche Bahn CEO here on stage. We tried to get you together with him many times. The CEO changed over the years. But when you advertise your product and address the consumer, what is the #1 advantage you put in context when trying to win a new customer?
I guess ultimately what we do is we offer the best value for money product. And it is initially the price that attracts people, but what makes them stay is really the comfortable use and the quality of the product. So it needs to be super convenient, easy to book, it's a great experience. I mean, I guess we were the ones to push Deutsche Bahn towards free Wi-Fi for their customers. It took them years. Like, we offered it right from the start. So we do shape the industry, and this is, I think, the position that we like. And as I said, I think the price is one important component for us, and obviously we're trying to be super competitive on price, but ultimately customers stay because they love the product, and this is a lot more than just the price.
How international is FlixBus today? By the way, can you share some numbers, like number of rides or whatever is lastly communicated? Maybe there's some numbers. I saw BlaBlaCar gave some numbers for India, which were crazy high. But whatever was the latest or the things...
I mean, we've had about 30 million passengers last year.
30 million passengers 2016. Shara, David, how many do you have?
Wow, we talk about tens of millions. Yeah, same scale.
Tens of millions, and then you guys?
We have done last year 22 million rentals, and it's very important. We have, as the only free-floating car sharer, 3 electric-only cities with Madrid, Stuttgart, and Amsterdam. And there we are doing 10,000 rentals with purely electric car per day.
What do you mean? You had 3 or you were...
3 exclusive city only with electric.
We also have one. And we have actually electric cars in all the cities. And we do something like 700,000 to 800,000 trips a month.
I mean, this is not small stuff anymore. Shall we ask the audience if they have used one of you? Who has used a service from our panelists in the past? Hands up. By the way,
Continue.
this is the biggest hands up we had over the last 2 days. And comparing this with Friday afternoon, they're still very active in listening. Chantal, how big is BlaBlaCar in terms of number of rides or whatever you want to share or have shared before?
So we have 12 million travelers per quarter.
12 million.
Yeah.
And they use it quite frequently, I guess, right?
So the frequency is not a service that you use on a daily basis because the average
long
distance is
distance.
250 kilometers. So a user normally uses a service 4 times per year. That's the average usage of the vehicle.
And for Drivy?
Yeah, a little bit the same. We don't really focus on the rides, but more how many users and how many rental days. So right now we have about 1.5 million users across Europe, and we served more than 2.5 million rental days up until today.
It reminds me a little bit of the restaurant platforms, and they were sitting here before, like 4 or 5 years ago, their numbers sounded like that, and now I think they are together, the 3 companies we had were worth 15 billion euros or so. Let's talk a little bit about product. The main learning from this conference for me was that you can be a great entrepreneur, you can be great in marketing, you can be a great bullshitter, but at the end of the day, it's all about product. And product really comes down to little changes here and there. How successful are you in keeping your client? I believe especially the taxi apps are very, very sticky. The cohorts of all your businesses must look very strong. Maybe you can say roughly the size of your repeat business in context of the total.
Yeah. I think cohorts and retention, it's a key for all of us. And effectively, we are public with our numbers. 90% of our rides done by the users who are on the system, and 10% effectively or less even the new users that join the platform. On the monthly basis, it's even 94% is the existing user base, is 6% joining. Now, what is the key is not only to see the cohorts as being strong, we live in a world where our users and drivers has choice. And it's critical to see that you keep those users though they have a choice. And I've been showing numbers in the past that we like to see that within the cohorts, we see actually user accelerating the usage over the time when they join the platform, despite the fact that they have a choice. Means they get value, and that's what you're looking for. So when you talk about features and products, it's all about how really to drive that metrics being retention and follow that very carefully. That's the key. Again, in our case, we drive 40% retention over 2 years, increase in retention, and we like that number.
Jochen, once FlixBus, always FlixBus?
Of course. No, I mean, obviously for us, since we're heavily expanding across multiple markets, and you'll have more sort of new customer acquisition in these new markets, that's very natural, I guess. In the more mature regions that we're in, we're looking more at like 80–90% of repeat customers. And
so also like 90%, like
yeah, I mean,
very similar.
People, and
so you have a very different model, but you have very similar customer metrics.
No, ultimately, what I'm saying is really you need to make the product great, and I totally agree with you. Ultimately, it's about the product, and we understand it as the experience. So we will think more about us as a service experience. This is what customers are looking for, and if this is great, they'll always come back.
How's it with DriveNow and car2go? You have a subscription customer base. You keep them, or some people try it out and say, not for me, I love to have my own car, or is it relatively easy for you to retain your customers?
No, first I think we are at the beginning of the journey. Yeah? We can name a lot of big numbers. We have 2.4 million members today, but I'm still convinced it's only the beginning of the journey. And as free-floating car sharer, you're a real alternative to mobility in big cities, in the urban area, but we also need the other alternative, like the bus or like using the subway, our customer, and we are customer-oriented. We are seeking to provide them these alternatives, and that's why it's not. We do not have the problem to have the customers still in our membership. We have an increase of 30% of members in every single city. It's more to also really have the awareness and bring the awareness in the big cities that we are a real alternative and it's working. Yeah.
And your users are mostly younger people because not owning cars is actually also luxury. You don't have to worry. You need to know where it's parked. You don't need to bring it to the garage.
But we started with average 31. We're now 34.
Excuse me?
31 years old was the average when we started it, and then now we moving up the ladder, 34, 35 already. So we see there's a potential group of also, let's say, older people coming into the system. I think it's mainly because we offer a number of use cases which are also interesting for corporates, like the airport trips and everything.
You have a corporate because Dave
We
has
all-
a
we
very
do have,
large
yeah,
corporate
absolutely.
business.
We do a lot of corporate business as well. Drives up the utilization during the week, obviously.
Chantal, your users, can you retain them? Are they happy with the BlaBlaCar service?
Yes, and I think that retention is very strong at BlaBlaCar, and the main reason is price. Obviously, it's an affordable way of traveling, but it's also convenience. And I think that that's because a unique selling point of BlaBlaCar is that the road network is so granular and so dense compared to the rail network or anything else that people can actually go point to point and can reach all destinations without having to change modes of transport. That offers a unique opportunity for people to travel kind of door to door, long distance, and for a very good price.
And Drivy, how is this for you?
It's a bit different, but customer retention is good, though we're very different from the other concepts since we're not focusing on short trips. Drivy's core offering, especially weekend getaways, escape the city, get out of the city. So we have users coming back, and if one user is using a Drivy car 3 to 5 times a year, that means he's driven 2,000, 3,000 kilometers, which is a very good figure for us.
I mean, what are the governments thinking about all this stuff you do?
They like us.
Some of them have invested a lot in infrastructure. When we hear 98% of the time cars are unused, or in BlaBla case, lots of cars driving only with one passenger. In America, they have 2 lanes. When you're more than 2, you can go in a fast lane. Are they happy about what you do? Will there be a situation where the public transport will be scaled back? I mean, Jochen, you do lots of different routes. But is it a push to help you guys, or do you feel sometimes that they're a little bit scared and they feel threatened by you?
I would say in most of the cities that we're in, we're very welcome, and they see that we basically also help them to get more people into the city with less cars, because this is what they would want to avoid. And it also makes cities more attractive to tourists because it's easier to get there, it's cheaper to get there, so you can save on travel and spend more in the city itself. So we're very much welcomed by most of the cities that we're in.
How is it in France? Well, you are in the long distance, so it's less.
Exactly. It's like, I think that the reason why it actually works very well is that we do not allow drivers to make profits. So there is no professional drivers on
You don't allow drivers
to make profits.
to make profits.
So it's a cost-sharing mechanism, and it's based on actually a price that the government sets of how much it costs per kilometers to drive, and we allow drivers to share that cost with other users. So I think that in terms of regulation, very likely we don't encounter many challenges, and when we did, at the end of the day, we were always put at the winning of the case. So I think that we are fine for now, and I guess for the foreseeable future, it's a great model for that perspective.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about competition. Dave, you've gone to New York while Uber was there, and it was their stronghold, and a lot of people thought, wow, they have balls. They go now to the most competitive market for taxi apps. How has your US expansion played out? You acquired Juno. Was it a response to get more scale?
Yeah. So we actually, we had a thesis, and I'm happy we proved that thesis, that New York market is actually happened to be less competitive because it's a very healthy market. You have a very high margin, high checks, lots of wealthy people without cars. It's a perfect space to start the service and actually help them move in the city. So in terms of the demand, it's an amazing city. But in terms of the competition, there wasn't any player who could provide a better service for the drivers and therefore to get a higher quality. And that's exactly what Juno and Gett did. And I just shared metrics that as of today, we can gladly speak about the fact that we are now second largest in terms of supply, and we are well positioned to become second in New York, which is nonsense. Think about any European company who came and challenged a New York player or US player.
How many drivers do you have in New York?
So right now we have in New York more than 20,000 drivers, which is, I said before, it's bigger than Lyft. But more importantly, we also grew faster. I mean, otherwise we couldn't achieve the same scale. And we now do more than 1 million rides in Manhattan alone. Just think about that space, and we do more than 1 million rides a month there. So it's got to the maturity and growth pace that no one been expecting in the past.
Did you see more growth since Uber was more in the press than before?
I mean, it's always sad to see anything like this coming to, to any company, so I wouldn't comment on that. But definitely there is huge demand in New York, being a huge city, one of the best for the services. But now we feel comfortable to go and replicate that success in other cities of US, because the way we do it is differently. We're not spending marketing money, we just have a different approach for the supply, and they're happy to join us and therefore provide better quality and better quality drive.
Maybe
service.
Chantal tells you how BlaBlaCar has launched in so many countries. In how many countries is BlaBlaCar now operating?
22.
22 countries.
Crazy.
And does every country behave almost the same way, or are some very, very different?
No, there are actually differences. I think that first and foremost, Europe versus some emerging markets that we have launched have different market dynamics, different usage, different needs. I think that in Europe we are very much a last-minute, affordable transportation solution. In Russia, for example, I think that we are, by and large, the transportation solution for long distance because there is very little infrastructure. And so the value proposition to the user is different, and so they see our service in a different way. Yeah.
DriveNow, car2go, you have an easier job than the others because you don't need a driver. You have one and the same person doing the same job. On the flip side, you have to make huge capital investments to grow and entertain your fleet. What do you think is the better model?
Well, honestly, the drivers, they love to drive cars. They still love cars, and they also really are proud to share. And that is important. And yes, we need the assets. We can also lease the assets, then we don't have it in the books. Yeah, but we need the assets. We have the control of the process. We know how to have a very fast rental and de-rental process. And as a car manufacturer behind us, we have a great premium product to offer to the customer.
I think there's one thing to add, actually. If you're looking at the future and you're expecting that robotaxis, autonomous cars are coming, then there's a question, do you know how to maintain fleets? Do you know how to run fleets? And most of the platforms don't know how to do it. They don't know how to deal with assets because they don't have any. So I think this is a major advantage for us in mobility, at least. When or if autonomous cars are coming in large scale, we will be far better prepared for dealing with the assets than anybody else.
And you work with Auto1, Auto1 on the fleet side for the cars?
No.
No.
We manufacture our own, so.
We know how to do that.
No, to sell the cars.
Well, we also know how to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a last question for all of you. Do you own Bitcoins?
No.
No.
I do.
You do.
I bought yesterday. I read an interesting
Bought
article.
yesterday because we asked the question the whole time?
No, I read an interesting article that you should, buy 1% of your net worth and don't look at it for 10 years. So that's where I started. Let's see where it takes me.
Usually when I make an investment, I don't look at it for 10 years because it's going down and down. I'm so thankful you guys have been here. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
good luck. There's a lot more to come from your businesses. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.